Cool. So welcome everyone to this special stream. We're going to be doing a Kindred mask for today. And I think this is a really cool exercise that pretty much everyone who's starting their 3D journey should be able to follow. If you're completely new, we have a lot of content on our YouTube channel as well, where you can check some basics of the 3D world. But I'm going to go here right now. We're inside of ZBrush and I'm going to go to Dynamesh and I'm going to start with a Dynamesh 64 sphere. Normally, when I'm working instead of ZBrush, I don't like to use a dynamic perspective, so I'm going to turn this off. And hello, 100 Evil Eye! What's up, my friend? Welcome to the stream. Now, when we're dealing with any type of concept, any type of character or whatever, one of the first things that we need to try to get right is the proportions and the silhouette, right? So I'm not worried about the cracks, I'm not worrying about the eye sockets, I'm not worrying about the symbol on the head, I'm just worried about the main proportions. So instead of ZBrush, the Move brush is an excellent brush to start getting that sort of shape. Now, I'm also going to imagine that this is the whole head, and then I'm going to extract the mask from this, so that I'm gonna be able to do this. So good. 5 minutes ago I watched YouTube video. There you go. Well, welcome to Twitch, my friend. We're gonna be streaming frequently here as well. So I'm gonna use the Move brush here to push the cheekbones out and the chin or the snout, the nose of the mask. And then from the side view, I'm gonna rotate to the side view. I'm also gonna push this out like this. And then again with the Move brush, we can get like a general shape for the horns. Or, well, they're not horns, they're like ears, right? So it's gonna be right around there. So as you can see, in just 2 or 3 like very quick strokes, we already have something that starts resembling the main shape of the element right here. Now, when we're looking at something like this, again, it's always important to analyze where the main things are. So I'm gonna use my Damien standard to just create some lines to give me a general idea of how this thing is supposed to be like constructed. So I can see that we have like the eye sockets, like following this like interesting curvature going all the way down to like the zygomatics, kind of like the puffy little cheeks of the wolf. So they're right around there. I imagine that the eyes are gonna be right around there, and then the ears are very like faceted, so we can see the sides of the ears. So like right around here. Ajesh, welcome, my friend. Welcome to the chat. So something like that. And of course here, eventually we're gonna have the symbol, right? And all of the details. So that allows me, like doing that very quick exercise right there, allows me to understand how my shapes and my forms are gonna be like playing with each other, which is a very important part of the process. Now, what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna go with clay buildup and I'm gonna start scratching out or removing some volume from the element to generate the main sections right here. So let's start, of course, with symmetry turn on with X. I'm gonna start removing some of this stuff right here. Now, very important, look at the curvature of the eyes. So I really need to capture that sort of curvature right here. It goes in towards like a point. So it's gonna go right around there to like a point of the element. Binayak Sculpts, what's up, my friend? Welcome. Welcome to the stream. Now here, let's also clean this up a little bit. There we go. Now I feel like my forms are not like perfectly matching this like silhouette that we have right here. So I need to use my Move brush again and just start adjusting these things a little bit more. Jess says, can I get your ZBrush UI? Of course, my friend. Join the Discord channel and I'm gonna post it after the stream is done so that you have access to the UI. It's a very simple UI. I just have like the most common tools up here, and it's blue, so it looks a little bit cooler. But that's pretty much it. So yeah, just join the Saran. Just linked the Discord right there, and I'm gonna be giving away this UI. Like it's no big deal. Let's use the clay buildup again right here, and I feel like the snout is a little bit sharper. So again, we're gonna push this in and push this down just a tad bit. And right around there. Let's remove a little bit more volume from this area right here. There we go. Now on the ears, as we've mentioned before, like we do have this sort of like round thing going. Feel like this thing like bulges out a little bit more, so I'm gonna use my move brush to push this out a little bit more. And here I think one of the tools that we're gonna be using quite a bit is gonna be the trim dynamic. Oh, okay, perfect, Josh. Yeah, I'll share it on the main channel as soon as the stream is over. So I'm gonna use the trim dynamic here to create the sharp sort of effect that the ears have. I got more references here. Some of them are official concept art, some of them are not. This one I think is in-game, so you can see how this thing like goes into a point. So I'm gonna use again my move brush to really generate a really clean line right there. Just trim dynamic again. There we go. We got Daniel. What's up, my friend? Welcome, Daniel. Let's go. So, yep, that's pretty much it. So again, trim dynamic here to push some of these forms up and generate the effect. Let's go back to our main concept, which is this one right here. I think this was the one that they showed for the teaser. I haven't played, I'm gonna be honest, I haven't played League of Legends in a while, but I'm still following the scene because I enjoy the lore and the characters. But the game is very stressful. So, but back in the day with my brothers, we used to play it quite a bit. Tell me, what roles do you what role do you think I played when I played League of Legends? Wrath, thank you for the sub, man. Thank you for the sub. So what role do you guys think I played when I played League of Legends? We got one vote for support. There we go. Support. Yeah, you're right. I played support. I really enjoy playing support, to be honest. Now, what champion do you think was my favorite? I have two. One male and one female. That's the clue I'm gonna give. Let's carve here a little bit more. There we go. It has a very, very nice curvature. Like pushing here, pushing up a little bit. You can see how it goes down and it pushes into this very nice curvature. I think you can guess the male character, maybe. But the female character, I'm not sure you're gonna be able to guess. But you can try. Nah, it was not Morgana. It was not Morgana. Nice guess, though. I did play Morgana, but that was not my main. Okay, let's just trim dynamic again. And I'm trying to capture like this very sharp triangular shape. So I guess I have to push this a little bit forward, like a little bit more forward, and then backwards. Now here, one of the things that I'm gonna do, because eventually this thing is gonna be a mask, as I mentioned. I think it's a little bit thin. Let me widen it out a little bit more. Actually, some proportions seem to be a little bit off. I think the eyes are like really distracting me, so I'm gonna fill them in. Yes, Braum for male. That's right. Braum was one of my favorite champions, and I played it extensively, especially because my younger brother, he used to play Misfortune. So Braum Misfortune, like the Braum Misfortune combo was a really, really powerful one. You could proc the Braum's passive very, very quickly with Misfortune and the double shot she had. So yeah, that was one. Lux, I did play Lux for a while as a support, but not too much, because she was a little bit more aggressive. She was like a carry support, I guess. No. I'm gonna tell you guys, it was Leona. I played Leona for such a long time. When she was strong, I'm not sure if she's meta anymore, but when she was strong, she was really, really strong. I really liked it. Okay, let's add the sharpness here on the horns again. Kind of need to carve in a little bit the planes of the horn. Again, very geometric shapes right here. Got like a geometric carved shapes, and then we can smooth them out a little bit. Okay, one thing I'm seeing here, see how there's light here and then shadow? That tells me that there's a little bit more volume here, and then it kind of like rolls down into the back of the mask. So I need to add that volume with clay buildup. Jungles, Vi, yeah, my brother used to play jungles, and Vi was also one of his go-to champions. When I first started playing, I was playing top because I was learning the game, and that was like the easy lane to figure out by yourself. But then later on, I branched out into like support. Jarvan, oh, I hated Jarvan. It was very tricky to deal with because of his ultimate, of course. And his gap closer was also really neat. Okay, so I think we are now in a good position in regards to proportions. Like if we compare this to, we're quite close. There are certain shapes that are not looking exactly like on the concept, and the reason is, of course, the light. Lights and shadows play an important role, but in general, I think we're in a good spot. So one of the things that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna increase the resolution a little bit. For your question, Josh, this is for ZBrush 2023, but I believe the files should be compatible, so I don't think we're gonna have to worry too much about it. Now, one thing I definitely want to do is I want to start removing some of the back part of the mask. So to do this, I'm gonna go to Lightbox, to Tools, and I'm gonna bring in this demo head. So I'm gonna go back to this guy, Subtool, Append, and we're gonna append that demo head. And let's select it and scale it. So I'm gonna guess that this is gonna be eventually like my head. So I need to get a general idea of the size of this thing. So maybe a little bit bigger. I'm not sure. Should it be a big mask or a small mask? Like I think this thing, like the mask should cover like the nose maybe. So that's like a slightly smaller mask. So right around there, I would say. I think so. I think that's like a good size. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna jump to this one right here, and we need to remove all of these areas. Let me do a quick save before anything bad happens, because I'm gonna be using the knife curve, and the knife curve is really good. It's also really like finicky. So there we go. So yeah, that's it. Just a quick simple cut right there, and we can bevel all of the edges here on the back too. We're gonna remove more volume later on, but right now I just wanna like keep this as a mask. Nice. So now that we have a little bit more topology, I think one of the things that we could do is add the eyes. But I also feel like the curvature is not like perfect, so I'm gonna put a little bit more with the curvature here. And with the proportions, like see the distance that we have from this horn to this like top of the ridge? Mine is really close, and that's definitely like breaking certain like proportion rules. So we always need to take a look at our concepts and try to match them in the best possible way. I can also see that this part right here is a little bit more circular. So I'm gonna add a little bit more volume all around this place to kind of like push the brows up. So whenever I add volume, I like to use clay buildup to generate this sort of effect. And this allows me to push the form. One of the big challenges when doing sculpting is capturing that form. Forms are the representations of any three-dimensional shape. So spheres, cubes, cylinders, like toruses, like those are the forms that we use. Shapes are 2D elements, which we also try to look for when we're sculpting. There's like this like circular 2D shape, planes right here. So all of those things we also take into account. There we go. That's a lot better. I'm using the move brush here to do this. Will you paint this? I would like to see the painting process. Yes. I want to do the whole thing. Like it's definitely gonna be like a quick paint job. I don't think I'm gonna be doing like super like fancy stuff. I've never worked on a model with this scale, to be honest. I've always painted like miniatures and like small figures, but this is gonna be fun. I think we're definitely gonna be printing this with a filament, because otherwise resin would take just too much time. But it should still hold like some very nice details. Okay, now this curvature right here, that's a very, very important curvature, and I feel like mine is very, very sharp. So again, just with move brush, I'm gonna round this off a little bit more. It's kind of like the connection to the snout, because this is gonna make it look a little bit more wolf-like. Andy, what's up, my friend? How much time resin would it take in comparison with the second option? That's a great question. So time-wise, it might be faster to do it with resin, because resin 3D printers are really fast compared to filament. But material-wise, I would say at least like 3 liters probably of a resin that you would need for all of the supports and things like that. So, right, like here in Mexico, each liter is like $45. It's quite expensive. And the filament, you probably just need 1 roll of filament, maybe 2. And you can get 2 rolls for like $45. So filament is a way cheaper for this kind of stuff as well. I think my snout is a little bit too thin now, especially on the bottom part. So I'm gonna make it a little bit flatter and push it up a little bit. And also you can see again to the way the light is shading right that thing. It's like a cone. So I'm gonna use Trim Dynamic to give it this sort of like a cone shape as well. And the Leech is in the house. What's up, man? There we go. Now you can also see that there's like a dip right here on this area. So again, with clay buildup, I'm going to start removing some volume right there. It's a very, very complex, like 3-dimensional shape, to be honest. But it's a fun one. There was, when I was at school, there was a class that was called VisCom, Visual Communication. Very, very technical class. The teacher, his name was Mark. I don't remember his last name, but he was Mark. He was a really good, like, he did a lot of things for like product design. And VisCom was, how do you create shapes and forms that communicate the shapes and forms that you want to communicate, right? So if you're doing like a new, like a, I don't know, like a new box for a pairs of shoes or something, you need to make sure that they look like, it looks like a box and the design looks clean and stuff. So he would teach us all of this like techniques, and there was this exercise that we used to do where we would create random shapes and shade them so that we could make them look 3D. It was a really, really, really cool exercise. I've always loved doing that one. And you learn so much about, again, like shading thanks to that. So that's why I'm looking at the lights and the shadows right here. And it allows me to understand what the original artist that did this concept was trying to do. Here, I'll show you guys. Let me copy this. Because I always just like talk about the experiences and then I don't show you. And I know it's a little bit difficult to follow. Okay, so let me like get this right here. There we go. So when you take a look at this concept, like it's immediately, or it should be immediately obvious to have this ridge going right here, right? Like that's a very obvious ridge. And of course we have like a center line going all the way through the center. And again, what the light is telling me here is that this thing is pushing out. So we get this sort of like a round effect going in this direction, okay? That gives me like the sort of like 3D view of this thing right here. And then, of course, we have the hole for the eye right here, but we have all of this area that's shadow. So this tells me that the form goes in. So it goes in, right? And then here again, we have light, so it goes out. So that's why we have this sort of like flat area, like transitioning into like a smooth area as we go towards the cheekbone. So all of this like complex movement and complex changes in shape, that's what I'm like getting out of the concept, like extracting out of the concept and trying to like project here onto the model. That's like the little secret of understanding form and shapes to be able to extract that sort of information. Was that clear? I'm not sure if that was a little bit too technical, but It's a very important part of the process. Like making sure things flow and generate the sort of effect that we're going for. There you go. Cool. Now let's add the eyes. So I'm gonna append 2 cylinders, or a cylinder. Let's get out of dynamic solo. Let's hide the head for. Oh, let's hide the head for now. Let's go into the cylinder. I'm gonna make it a lot smaller. And as you can see, the cylinders are not like perfectly like towards the front. They're kind of like at an angle. So I'm gonna do this, kind of like an angle like this, I would say. Like if we take a look at the ellipse right there, that's roughly what I'm visualizing. And I'm gonna make this go where I see it on the concept, which is right around there. And I'm gonna make sure that it goes all the way through. Again, we're gonna remove more volume later on, but right now I'm just focusing on like the front view. And we can use light booleans here and make this remove an element. There we go. So this is gonna give us a good idea of the position of the eye, as well as the size, which that to me looks pretty damn like close. I think that's a really like clean ellipse, I would say. So yeah, I'm just gonna go C plugin, subtool master, and then, or actually I have my mirror over here. Just okay, there we go. So that's gonna give us the close effect right there. I'm gonna go here to Boolean and say make Boolean mesh. And by doing that, I'm gonna have the new Boolean mesh right here. Now, I do think it's a good moment to carve out more details since we're doing the Booleans. So I'm gonna go back to this one right here, and I'm gonna append a sphere. And I'm gonna use this sphere to remove volume again from the back of the character. So I'm literally just gonna like mold this sphere so that it's like the negative imprint of the whole mask. So here you can see me doing that right there. Now, since I know we're going to be 3D printing this, I'm not going to go as thin as what we see on the concept, because if we go really, really, really thin, then things become really complicated to like 3D print. So you always want to give yourself a little bit of a thickness on the walls of the object so that you have more room. But for instance, there on the center of the eyes, I definitely want to have like a sort of like constant thickness around that area. There we go. Now if we set this to negative, you can see how this thing is gonna remove all of this like parts from the back of the mask when we do the Boolean. That's great. I think that looks very, very cool. Let's just do a very quick check here with the character and make sure that there's like enough room, for instance, on the cheekbones. I can see that there's a little bit of an issue right there. But let's start with this. So I'm gonna say make Boolean mesh, and then I'm gonna go to this new one and I'm gonna say append, and we're gonna append the head again. Oh, not that one. Delete. Okay, we're gonna append this one right here, which has a proper scale. So as you can see here, I'm already noticing some, like that looks very cool. Let's move the head up so that this will be like the fit that I'm looking for the mask. So there should be some room for the nose and stuff. That looks, I think it looks cool. So now what we need to do here is we just need to push a couple of the things from our mask out. So let me dynamic solo. So I'm gonna use trim dynamic, and all of these edges right here, I'm gonna trim them a little bit. Besides, this is on the inside of the face, so it shouldn't be that much of an issue. Ideally, and I might do that later, that might be a cool video for YouTube. Ideally, I should scan my face. Like I should get a 3D scan of my face and use that as a reference to make sure that the fit of the mask is as close as possible to what we're looking for. But we didn't have enough time to do that before this stream, so you're gonna have to forgive me for that. There we go. So Dynamesh real quick there to get rid of the volume and of the artifacts. And we just like soften all of this off. Ideally on the inside of the mask it should be quite soft. Like I've seen some cosplayers add like a foam and things like that to masks so that you don't get this this effect. Now if you're watching and you're not following, help us get to our like goal right here, my friends. We're very, very close to our 230. There you go. Thanks, my friend. Who was that? Did I not get the... I didn't get the alarm. I mean, I get the alarm, but I didn't get the name. There you go. Cool. So yeah, now as you can see, the whole mask is starting to look a little bit better. I do feel like we lost a little bit of volume up here. So again, with my clay buildup, I'm gonna be adding this thing right here. Phantom, thanks for the sub, my friend, or for the follow. With so many socials, I lose track of which ones are called subs, which ones are called follows, which ones are called like likes and stuff like that. So many of them. Okay, let's push this a little bit closer right there. I'm trying to match everything. Konnichiwa, my friend. Konnichiwa. There we go. Now see that curvature right there? That little blip? That's what I'm trying to capture here. So again, just move brush and play with some of these shapes. There we go. I've always liked the Kindred's dynamic inside of the game. Like having to hunt specific targets was always very, very cool. Very difficult and very kind of like ambitious. I remember losing a lot of games to someone playing Kindred and always wanting to focus on the next target and not focusing on other like easy targets that might have been available. It's a quite ambitious like type of gameplay, but I've always found it quite interesting. I'm gonna use trim dynamic, and I'm definitely gonna trim dynamic a little bit of the borders here for the eyes. Sep Sorlook says, yeah. Oh, you main Kindred? You're one of those guys. You're one of the guys that only focuses on the target. No, I get you, man. I remember when Barth came out as a support. I really liked the Barth concept as well, but it was very, very difficult also to focus on the little like chimes going around, because it was either like go hunt for the chimes or keep yourself close to your team. It was a very difficult like micromanaging thing. So yeah, exactly. The enemy will always be camping your stuff. Yeah, but there's some Kindred outs there, like some Kindred mains that don't care about that, and they only focus their stuff. That's where things get a little bit more complicated. Okay, I'm still gonna add a little bit more like round volume here. Because I feel like we need to emphasize the sort of like zygomatic arc that we would expect to have right there. But we're gonna be blending this. And down here you can see there's like a flat, like a nice flat face. So we're gonna give it this sort of like chiseled wood look to everything. Okay, so not bad, not bad. I like how this is looking. There's still a couple of like proportion things that we can fix, I think. Especially here on the snout. I think the eyes are also a little bit too big. What do you guys think? Are the eyes big? I think they're a little bit too big. And the snout still doesn't feel perfect. So I'm gonna add a little bit of volume here. And then with trim dynamic, I'm gonna keep it a little bit sharper as we go down. That looks a little bit better. I think this curvature is a little bit too intense though, so. A bit more oval. Yeah, I think a bit more oval could help. Instead of round, make them a little bit more like an oval shape. Also gives this sort of like mysterious look to it. That's one thing I've always applauded about League of Legends, even though the community and the community is cool. It's just like people playing it sometimes get tilted, right? So even in spite of that, the concept and the art is just so amazing. I use a lot of that for for my classes when I'm teaching. There we go. That looks a lot better. Again, just stream dynamic and cleaning all that shape. Here, I think we need to push this forward a little bit more. That's gonna give us a little bit more shadow as well. And then create a slightly cleaner transition as we go towards this outer corner. Maybe even bring the eyes a little bit forward. There we go. That makes a huge difference. Okay, cool. So we need to remove. I think we can now start working a little bit more on the details of the mask. I'm gonna use trim dynamic here again to like separate the sharp area of the horns. We're gonna have to do a little bit of polish here on the horns a little bit later, so we get this very nice clean points. Here's where the knife brush is actually a good idea. So I'm just gonna use the knife brush to generate a cleaner, like sharper point. I don't want to go super sharp though. This is based on my experience with 3D printing. If you have things that end up on a very like point, on a very sharp point, you can get up with some issues. So even though I know this might be like a triangular point at the end, I'm actually gonna like bevel it and flatten it a little bit so we don't have that issue later on. Let's also push this up a little bit so we can have the round effect right around here. This is where the logo or the main like drop. I really like again the concept of Kindred as a sort of like yin and yang thing, like the hunter and the prey, right? I think that's one of the quotes. There we go. That looks good. Do I like Dota heroes? Yes, I played a little bit of Dota. I actually played a little bit of Dota before I started playing more League of Legends. I really like the design of the heroes as well. Like last week, we did a stream and we did Medusa, which it's a really cool one. I'm gonna like starting if you can link the YouTube channel link, you guys can follow us on YouTube as well, and we got a lot of videos, and the live stream is gonna be there as well. The Medusa live stream is gonna be there. Okay, so now we need to cut this guy right here. It's a very intense cut, and we also have this one right here. And we got another sub. Can't get Sound 23. Welcome, my friend. Welcome. What was Sound 23? I know that that's like a common reference, but I always forget about which one that one is. We got 666 followers on YouTube. There you go. Number of the beast. Nice. Yeah, we're really close to getting like the partner thing in YouTube, which is gonna be really cool. There we go. So we're gonna use this cube right there to remove that point from the object. So as you can see, that's gonna be our cut right there. I'm gonna make this a little bit smaller. And there's another big cut right here. We can make that cut manually, but to be honest, it's very easy to just like duplicate this square that we have and use it to generate the cut right there. We just need to like, actually no, I'll just do one right here. There we go. We'll do this manually. So for the manual cut, I'm gonna break symmetry. I'm gonna go to knife curve, and we can create a knife curve right here, and then double tap Alt, and that's gonna create an angle. And that's it. So that just like removes the little like point from the mask. I don't see another cut, but I'm like super, like I like adding a little bit of my own stuff every now and then. So I'm gonna add like another cut up here, like that, just to break the silhouette a little bit more. Let's make this another Boolean mesh. because we need to boolean this cut that we did here for the eye. And if we dynamesh again, now all of those things that I did are going to be like actual geometry, right? And what we're going to do here is we are going to save because we haven't saved. We've been doing this for what, like 30 minutes now. Let me go. I'm going to save this on the desktop for now. Let's call this Kindred. There we go. So now we can go to trim dynamic. We definitely need to increase the dynamesh resolution a little bit more. So I'm going to go double the amount that we had so that we can start cleaning up these elements right here, especially this guys. Like sometimes dynamesh, especially when things are really close to each other, you'll get this sort of like weird effect. So with clay buildup, I'm just going to start like carving and cleaning that up. So let's start adding some of the main details that we have right here. The first like big detail that I see is this like lines that are flowing from the eye towards like this point right here. So I'm going to use a Demian standard and we're going to start adding it. Now here's a very interesting thing that you need to know about 3D printing. We need to exaggerate things a little bit more than what you would normally do for sculpting when you're going to 3D print, because there is some resolution or some like details that are getting lost or will get lost when we do this. So if we can exaggerate, like people would probably go for something soft like this when we're sculpting for games, but again for 3D print you really want to go a little bit deeper than what you might think, because otherwise the detail is not going to show through the 3D print. It also depends on the size of the 3D print and the resolution of the 3D printer. But you want to definitely keep this. Orenos, welcome my friend. Thanks for the follow. We're only 8 follows away from our goal today. Let's do it. So something like that. Then there's a second one right here. There we go. Hello, my friend. Welcome, welcome. And then there's a third one right here. This one, I don't see it going all the way through. It kind of just like follows and then kind of like blends with the rest of the wood grain. And then from this corner right here, we have one line going up. And then from this one, right here, there's another one. So I'm going for the big ones right now, for the big lines. We're going to be adding some of the smaller details a little bit later. Right now we're just going for the very obvious ones. Then there's another one going in this direction right here. We're no longer working with symmetry, which is always a scary sort of prospect, because we cannot do like big changes anymore, but it's not that bad. Now you can see here, this is a very interesting one. We definitely need to do the logo now. So the logo is being born right around here. Then it curves out. It has a big belly over here. And kind of just merges into a nice line right there. It's kind of like embedded into the flow of the grain of the wood, right? So this is something like this. Yeah, that looks about right. Might need to make this a little bit thicker on this side right here. And then I can use trim dynamic again to clean certain areas if I missed. And even those like little details, kind of like what Bob Ross used to say, those are like happy little accidents that we can leave on our sculpt. We have another like interesting line coming this side. And it goes kind of like close to the eye. And kind of like out, right? So again, let's go a little bit more intense than what you might think. And this line, this like wood grain that we're adding here, it's a really important part of the thing, because it also allows us to push sort of like the shapes of the 3D element that we already have. So they allow us to blend things very, very nicely. There's another one here coming from the horn. So it goes right there. Goes right there. It goes down. And again around the wood grain. On this side right here, I can see like another one. Like push it up there from the eye. There we go. Then we have a lot of them kind of like following sort of like small lines following the flow of the shape of the mask. But I think those are like the main ones that we've captured like properly. So now I'm gonna start adding a little bit of, again, of my style. I know things are gonna change slightly with what I'm able to do, but I'm gonna make this a little bit more realistic. So we know that League of Legends is very stylized, right? Very kind of like a cartoon. And I wanted this mask to be something that you might have found in, like, I don't know, some sort of tribal forest or something, or jungle. It's more like a forest kind of spirit, right? So yeah, let's go. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go with clay buildup, and I'm gonna start adding like a little bit more variation to this like main lines. So for instance, I see some like small like wood grain right here, and instead of having this very clean circle, I'm gonna make this like a bark. So I'm gonna start adding a little bit more detail here. And what I like about the clay buildup, especially when doing the sort of like wood things, is if you go very soft, like if you're not changing the volume, and then you go with trim dynamic, you can flatten a lot of that stuff, and you get this very, very like interesting like wood grain effect. So see that? So as you can see now, the border of the eye, instead of being this like perfectly circular border, it looks like it's made out of like planks of wood. And I feel like it's gonna make this look really, really cool. What do you guys think? Let me know in the chat. Remember that you guys can chat as much as you want, and I'll happy to. Binayak says, "Hey Abraham, can you please like explain to me what is a look dev?" Yes. So look dev is one part of the pipeline. Usually the texture artists and the material artists are the ones that are working on look dev, and it's a part of the pipeline where you are gonna be trying to find what the best look for a creature is, or for a character, or for an object, right? So how glossy should the surface be? What kind of metal should it be made out of? Should it have scratches? Should it not have scratches? So let's say you're doing like this mask right here. After the model is done and you're working on the texture, you need to define how that texture is going to look, how saturated the colors are going to be, again, how glossy is it going to shine. Those type of things are the things that you're going to be like defining or doing during the look depth portion of things. It's not something that you do a lot in an indie studio. For instance, like here in my studio, we don't do a lot of look depth because it's a very like it's something that you can spend a lot of time on, and if it's not necessary, well then you shouldn't really be spending that much money on. But on films, like big films, there is a lot of look up going on, and the reason is you need to make sure that it's perfect, right? So there's going to be someone that's going to be like nitpicking every single detail on your sculpting, on your model, on your textures as well, and materials, to make sure that it looks exactly the way it should. So a look dev artist will be focusing a lot on that sort of interactions. I'm not sure if that answered your question. Hopefully it did. So it's a very specialized job. Again, usually if you're a texture artist or a material artist, you're going to be doing a little bit of look dev as well. And it's just that. It's just like showing all of the different like variations that you can add to your element, and making sure that it fits whatever like shot you want to go for. Why do I never doing rigging? No, I do a lot of rigging. I'm actually the main rigger here at the studio. So I do a lot of rigging. Why do I not do streams about rigging or videos about rigging? Because no one likes rigging. Well, it's not that no one likes rigging, but rigging is a very technical part of the process. So people are really scared of. and it's just a numbers game, right? Like if I do a sculpting video, people are gonna like I'm gonna have I don't know like 500, 1,000 views, and if we do a rigging video, I'm gonna have like 20 views, 30 views, because unfortunately rigging is again, since it's a very technical thing. I don't think it's a boring thing or a bad or like a horrible thing, but it's a technical thing. People tend not to like it as much. Welcome. Oh, and by the way, yeah, welcome, Belaye. Yeah, texturing lighting artists are usually the ones that do that sort of thing. A complete series on rigging might not be a bad idea, to be honest. I did one a while back, so it might be a good idea to do another one. More up-to-date one. Yeah, but yeah, unfortunately rigging is, again, it's not a bad thing. I really enjoy rigging, but it's very technical. So if you're not technically inclined, if you don't like things such as like programming and understanding relationships between objects and things like that, then rigging is gonna sound very, very, very boring. Do I know you? I'm not sure. I might. Belayet 3D Arshad. I'm not sure, man. I mean, if you want to share your name, I might be able to pinpoint who you are. Are you one of my students here from Mexico, from one of the universities? There we go. So see how that like texture now, all of this like clay buildup passes that I'm doing are really helping the mask get this sort of like interesting effect. Like this could be a small little keychain and it would look very, very cool as well, I think. It's all about like surfacing. This is what sometimes is referred to as surfacing, because the main shape, the main form is already there. So this is more about like adding those little like changes in silhouette or in the surface of the object to make it look like wood. There we go. Come get me says, I always struggle with the UI and just getting comfortable moving the camera around ZBrush. Yeah, it's a steep learning curve, I would say. I'm preparing a new course, by the way, about ZBrush. It's going to be an introduction to ZBrush, and well, it's kind of like introduction and intermediate level ZBrush, where I show you how to use it. And there's a whole chapter like dedicated to the UI, so that people get comfortable with it. Because yeah, it's definitely one. It's definitely a steep learning curve at first. Like I remember, I'm gonna tell you guys a little like story. When I started learning 3D, the first software that they taught me was Maya. I learned Maya for like 2 or 3 weeks. There was this like, it was like an intensive program where you would learn like a lot of like the production techniques that you had. It was really, really cool. And I learned Maya for like 2 or 3 weeks, and then we jumped into ZBrush, and I was like, fuck ZBrush. I don't want to do ZBrush. I don't want to use it. It's super horrible. The interface is really weird. Like I cannot do whatever I'm trying to do right here. So I didn't use ZBrush. Like I stopped using ZBrush for a while because I hated it so much. But then I was like, okay, what do I want to do as a 3D artist? I was like, I really want to do characters. I want to be in a sculpture. It's like, well, you got to learn ZBrush. So I took ZBrush. I grabbed my laptop back then. I grabbed my tablet. I was like, okay, let's do this. And I started practicing, doing like 1 hour exercise every single time for like several days until I got comfortable with the interface. And yeah, like actually one of the latest posts, I'm not sure if you guys saw it. It's this like blue guy on the, I posted it everywhere. And that was one of my first aliens that I did with ZBrush once I started getting a little bit more comfortable with the software. And after that, it's just a matter of like using it. Once you use it enough, like it's no longer an issue, to be honest. It stops becoming an issue and you just like roll with it. Yeah, it's always complex. Yeah, so Sarn just shared the socials, guys. So if you use any of the like socials more than others, make sure to follow us. With a very cool Discord as well. Very cool YouTube channel. I'm in LinkedIn. You can add me. LinkedIn, Facebook. You can add me everywhere. I'm sort of Leal from Bangladesh. Why never who's your maps? I'm not sure what you mean by that, but I still have the map over there, which is the maps from the from my students all over the world. So I'm trying to have a student at least anywhere. And I do believe I have Bangladesh ready. You were the one that uncovered that one? That's great. Like the other day, I was on the Discord and I just had some free time and I wanted to. Well, actually, I didn't have free time, but I was working on some assignments that I'm gonna be teaching my students at one of the universities. And I jumped into the ZBrush channel, and we had someone from Latvia, someone from Georgia, and someone from Malaysia at the same time. So that's one of the things I like about our community. We have people from all over the world. For a long time, I only had students from Mexico, which is where I'm from. But now that we've gone international, I've learned so much about other cultures, other styles, other like things. Just really, really good. So strongly recommend guys to join our Discord, because we got a lot of things that can be very helpful for your career. 3D is a very, I've been saying this a lot lately, 3D has no barriers, right? So if you know 3D, you can pretty much work from anywhere to anywhere. Like it's a very cool career because of the ability to be pretty much everywhere. We got someone from Florida. Nice. I went to Florida a couple of years ago when I was a little younger. I was like 14, I think, or 15, and my parents took us to Disneyland or Disney World. Really cool. We got Alpha Omega from Russia. Nice. Nice. There we go. So a little bit of bevel right there. So as you can see, I'm making the mask a little bit, a little bit more grungy. But it's also going to be really good when we paint, because we're going to be able to get into like the crevices of the paint and everything. And that's going to be really cool. We got Ajesh from India, and another Phantom as well from India. There you go. Yeah, we've got students from Japan, from Korea, from China, France, Italy, Georgie, he's a frequent. No, Georgie is from Georgia. We got another guy, Simon. Simon is from Italy. We got another one of our frequent viewers and students here in the channel. Yeah, Florida is really cool. In Mexico, we got great tourist things as well. If you guys want to come to Mexico, I recommend going to Cancun. Cancun is like the top tourist place to go to. It's like a sunny beach place, and there's a lot of very cool stuff. There's a very big like a theme park called Xcaret. I worked for them a couple of years ago, and it's a really, really cool place as well. I'm gonna use Damien Standard. Here I am gonna use symmetry, because I wanna kind of cut this horns from the main mask, so they're gonna be like pieces that got embedded afterwards, and we can add some of this stuff. Symmetry is not bad, and the further away you are from the center, the easier it is to hide the symmetry. So for instance, on this back part of the horns, we can definitely add the same sort of lines and things, because you're never it's very difficult that your eye can focus on both parts at the same time. And as we get closer here to the center line, here's where we can definitely break symmetry a little bit more to hide the fact that these horns are very symmetrical. Now here I'm also gonna add a little bit of a border to indicate that wood has been adapted or chipped away from that part to generate the whole thing. But it's looking good, right? I really like the sort of texture that we're achieving right now. And we're gonna add a little bit more high frequency details, so scratches and things like that in just a second. But right now we do need to go through the whole thing right here. I know once we print this is gonna look really cool, because we managed to create the forms very nicely. And that's the secret. I always tell you guys, that's the secret to a good 3D model. If you do your primary forms, your secondary forms, and your tertiary forms, you're gonna get a really nice detail. But if you rush to the last part and you want to add the details and add the scratches and the texture, and the primary fours are no good, then no bueno. Your sculpt is not gonna be good. My teachers used to say, and this is a very very cool phrase, it's gonna look like a polished shirt. So it's not gonna be good. So let's go right here. It has a sort of like effect, and I really want to push this one a little bit out of the main like wood grain. So I'm gonna use this right here. Phantom says, I always struggle to not add details. No, adding details is fine, but you need to add details on top of a good form. If your form is no good or not good, then it doesn't really help to add any sort of details because they're not gonna look good. I always use the analogy of the cake, right? So if you're baking a cake and you want to add all of the decorations and the fondant and the sprinkles and everything, that's fine. But you need to make sure that the cake tastes good, right? Like the bread should taste really good. Because otherwise it's just going to be a really pretty cake. It looks very nice, but when you taste it, it sucks. Well, the same thing happens here with sculpting. You need to make sure that you're capturing your forms properly. Beliat says, can you do one tutorial Maya component editor skin weights? That's a great request. Again, very technical because it's rigging. But yeah, if you're trying to do skin painting inside of Maya, Beliat, one plugin that I can recommend is called NG Skin Tools. Look for it, NG Skin Tools, and it's really, really good for painting weights. They have a student-free or education license available, so you don't have to pay for it. And then if you're going to be working on a studio, then you do need to pay for your license. But it's really, really, really good one. That's the one that we use here over on the studio. There we go. My struggle is to finish my project, says Andy. Yeah. I mean, I know the struggle, man. I don't know what it is with us artists that we have like, I don't know, some sort of like ADHD or something. And it's a lot easier to start a new project sometimes than it is to finish one. My advice is try to define a project that fits the time frame that you want to like dedicate to it, right? So for instance, if you're like, hey, I want to practice my anatomy, right? And you might be like, oh, I need to do a full character. Well, not necessarily. If you want to practice anatomy and you don't feel like spending 40, 50, 80 hours, 100 hours on a character, try doing just a hand study or like an arm study. Try doing a face or like a portrait. And that way it should be a little bit easier to finish. I think time management and project management is a very, very important skill that everyone should spend some time like polishing, because yeah, like as artists we do tend to procrastinate quite a bit. I use nowadays I can't procrastinate and that's just like how life goes. Some of you guys know, but I'm married. I have a little kid as well, so I need to work. There's no other option. I need to bring food to the table and pay the bills and everything. So pressure is really, economic pressure is really a big aspect of keeping yourself motivated. But when I was younger, when I'm having issues with it, one of the methods that I use is the Pomodoro technique. You can look that one up in Google as well. It's a very efficient technique. You divide your work like hours into 15-minute slots, and you take a small break every 15 minutes, right? So you work for 15 minutes and then you take, 25 minutes, sorry. So you work for 25 minutes and then you take a 5-minute break. You work for 25 and you take a 5-minute break. And you keep doing that until you're finished with your task, right? And that's, I think, a very, very efficient way to split things up. Normally, when I use that method on my 5-minute break, I like to play like a chess game, like a quick blitz or something, and then just keep going. And that way your mind is like continuously, continuously, like, what's the proper word? Stimulated, right? Because you're switching from different types of tasks, and that keeps you on the zone a little bit longer. Sometimes you do get on the zone, like you're just gonna get on the zone, and you're gonna be like pumping a lot of like content very quickly. Like 3 or 4 days ago, I recorded like 4 shorts in like an hour or something. So yeah, when you get on the zone, just utilize it and just keep going. those 5 minutes feel like, yeah, they do feel like short time. But again, you're just like, again, for me personally, I'm looking forward to this. Like, oh yes, I need to finish my task right now so that I can play another game, or like I can paint a little bit of my miniatures. I've been painting some minis here on the side as well. I'll show you one later. And that's again, it's one way. It's not the only technique, but it's been for me, it's been quite helpful the past couple of years. Let's just trim dynamic here to flatten this a little bit more. Harambe, ¿cómo estás, mi estimado? Bienvenido. Harambe is one of my former students here in Mexico. Great sculptor, by the way. He's really good. Let's clean this shape right here. Oh, we just peaked. We had 20 viewers. I was gonna say we have 20 viewers, and then we missed it. Now we're back to 18. We got Rapos Roxa. Thanks for the follow, my friend. Welcome. We got Pan Tostado as well. You guys came up with the like funniest freaking usernames. There we go. There we go. But yeah, procrastination. Well, I'm gonna tell you guys, when I was a student, my career has been really weird. Like I've been asked this. Should we add some Pipe emojis from our Discord? Yeah, I think that would be cool. I like the Zelda emojis. Those are very cool as well. And the Witcher ones. Those are nice. We do have one. Let me see. We had, this was back when I was doing streams. This guy. His name is Anacletus. It's a little mind flayer that we did. He got really popular on the chat back then. So yeah, when I was a student, I first studied 3D for like 3 months, literally. This was back in 2010, 2011. And I immediately got a job in the industry, because back then, as long as you knew how to create a freaking cube inside of Maya, you got a job. So I got a job, and I worked there for probably like 3-4 months, and then I got another job, and I jumped. I was just moving around, and then I went back to school because I wanted to make increase my quality. So when I went back to school, after I already knew a little bit of 3D, when I went back to school, I told myself, hey, this is your chance, Abraham. You gotta like make the best out of it. And that meant that I was spending up to 10 hours every single day just doing 3D. Like my social life and everything. Like I just left everything on the ground and started focusing on 3D, which was an interesting decision. Like if I had to do it again, I would probably be a little bit more like healthy and try to do other things as well. But back then, like just focusing on 3D for so long was really, really good for me. However, the way I worked with it was like, you're gonna, like I told myself, you're gonna work 10 hours every day, and after you finish 10 hours of work, including classes and things like that, you're not gonna do any more 3D because you're not learning anymore at that point. So after I finished my 10 hours of work, I would just like play video games or paint or play D&D and stuff like that. So that to me was a really good technique that allowed me to, again, to generate some very, very like great skills, to be honest, as a 3D artist, because I knew that after I finished my work, my 10 hours of work, I could do whatever, right? And I was already, I've already like fulfilled my my time slot for the day. So I always thought that was a good method. I'm not saying that that's very like sustainable, but that's the method that I have. We got a message. Hey there, someone just sent me the link to your Discord from Nico Speechshark, and I noticed you do Twitch. Have been watching a lot of your tools to try and improve my sculpting. Thanks for all the content you put for free. Thank you, my friend. Glad you like it. And yeah, we have free content on our YouTube channel. We got our Discord. We got shorts on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, like everywhere. And we also have our premium courses. So if you guys are interested, I'll be brief, I promise. But if you guys want to go into the 3D world, we got this. The first premium course that we released. It's this one right here. It's a weapons for games. It's very stylized, so if you like League of Legends and things like that, I think you guys are gonna like this one. There we go. So it's a full tutorial on how to do this one. It's like 14 hours long, and we go through like modeling, sculpting, texturing, UV, optimization, everything. I'm gonna have the link here in the description in just a bit. It's on Udemy, and it should be discounted right now. So if you guys want to support me and the channel and everything, that's a great way to do it. And we got a subscription from Harambe. Thank you, my friend. Thanks for the support as well. That's great. Okay, cool. So we got a very nice detail right now, and we've only been doing this for like an hour, so not bad for the time so far. Now I think it's a good point to save, of course. And now we can start adding a little bit more specific details. So we can definitely increase our effects. Like this, all of these details that I just added right now, all of this like cracks and things, those are the details that are gonna be the most prominent. I'm gonna be adding some subtle details that I'm not sure we're gonna be able to capture on the 3D print. We can try, of course, but I'm not sure we're gonna be able to do it. Like I know if I printed like this size right here on the 3D print, I will be able to get those details. But on the filament thing, I don't own one, so I'm gonna have one of my friends help me with the filament prints. And I'm not sure how much we're gonna be able to capture those details. But we're gonna still try. And we got Justin Viewports now following. What's up, my friend? Thanks for the follow. Oh, we're so close to the what's the word? We're so close to the goal for today. 6 more followers. If you're watching and you're not following, help us, my friends. Help us. I promise you're not going to regret it. Oh, careful here. I kept symmetry turned on. Okay, so let's keep adding this sort of like wood effect. Like wood plank effect. So it looks like the horns are embedded on this thing right here. And this is going to be asymmetrical. There we go. Oh, we got the new uniforms as well. Always learning, always improving. That's our motto. We're trying to find a way to get you guys shirts if you're in other places in the world. But right now, if you're in Mexico and you want one, send me a message on Facebook and I can get you one. Whoa! Harambe! Look at this. Harambe giving away subs. Damn, thanks, man. He gave away 5 subs. Thank you very much. Wow, that's really cool. I think this is the first time someone has gifted subs on the stream. So, Harambe, you are going to get a special shout out. Thanks, my friend. Thank you. Let's go. Nice. So if you're subbed here in Discord, sorry, so if you're subbed here in Twitch, you're gonna get a special badge on Discord as well. So all of the guys that just got subs, there you go, my friends. You're gonna get, I think you get the, what was it, Sarn? They get like the hero or the adventurer, and then if you get more subscriptions, you get like legend and things like that. So yeah, our Discord is like fantasy theme, so you can get some very cool titles there as well. Thanks, my friend. Wow, that's very cool. I really, really appreciate it. Okay, let's start adding some damage now to the mask. He says, I'm giving back some of all of the things that you've shared with me throughout these years. Thank you, my friend. I really, really appreciate it. So Harambe, he's been a student of mine for the last couple of years, and it's really, 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 I really don't know what to say, man. Thanks a lot. Thank you so much. I've been teaching 3D for like ever since I think like 2014 or something like that, 2013. So almost 10 years, a little bit more than 10 years of teaching, and 3D experience is even a little bit longer than that. So here I'm gonna add some very, very cool like damages to some areas. Kind of like chip wood, And again, it's just clay buildup. Like, I'm not using any secret brushes or anything. I'm just using clay buildup, Damon standard, Train dynamic, and that's pretty much it. Alpha saying, by the way, thank you for helping me in Discord with my questions. You are welcome, my friend. We started this new brand a couple weeks ago, almost a month, I think. Yeah, we're about to be, we're about to have 1 month of like antiquity. Is that the word? I don't know. We started this a month ago, and I'm present everywhere, guys. So if you have questions, if you need any help, if you want your portfolio to be reviewed as well, we have a portfolio review available on the Discord channel. We're going to be having a stream very, very soon with portfolio review. We're just waiting for more submissions. So once we have, I think, like 15 submissions or something, we'll do a Twitch stream as well, where we're going to be doing portfolio review. So if you are an artist and you want like actual feedback from a professional such as myself, I'll be happy to give it to you in our Discord right there. So again, just join, of course, completely free, and you guys can also benefit from that. So we got that, and we got like tips, everything. As soon as the community keeps growing, we also want to do like giveaways and things like that. So again, all of your support, my friends, is extremely, extremely appreciated. So thank you very much. There we go. I really like this damage rate here. I think I want to add, like, we already have something similar over here on this, like, upper horn. Again, as I told you guys, we're going, or I'm going a little bit more into my style. I always find it cool to be able to add a little bit of what you would do on this sort of things. When you're working on the studio, of course, you need to follow what the concept says. So you can't, like, do a lot of your own like designs and things like that. But especially when you're doing portfolio things, it's always good to add a little bit of your style, as long as you can justify it and make it look cool, right? Because it shows that not only are you good at following directions, but you're also good at generating something a little bit more like interesting. That's a very like big debate point, because some people say, no, you should always follow the concept perfectly, and some people say, like, no, you should always do your own stuff. I remember throughout the years, I always asked my teachers, like, what was their opinion, and that's the thing. It's a very opinionated part of the 3D world, so you will hear, like, people say a lot of things. For me, it has been very useful to do a little bit of interpretation and add certain things that I might think are a little bit better for the concept. But I had students that are like, no, for me, it's always been better to just like follow the concept perfectly. So it depends quite a bit on your like personal experience. But it's important to keep both options, or to be open-minded about both options. It's like the eternal debate between Maya and Blender, right? Like, oh no, you should never use Blender. Oh no, you should never use Maya. Both of them are perfectly good softwares, and they serve perfectly fine functions. So if you can make a living with Maya, that's fine. If you can make a living with Blender, great. Like, congratulations. It's like the eternal debate. There we go. And as you can see, this is someone was asking this on the chat a couple of minutes ago. They were like, oh, I always want to go for details. Have you guys noticed I have not increased my Dynamesh resolution for like the past 40 minutes? I've been working on 320 resolution for, I don't know, again, like 40 minutes or something. And that's because I do not increase my resolution until I need it. And that's the way I keep myself like control, and I make sure that I'm not doing things that I shouldn't be doing with the elements. Now, I definitely want to get rid of the sort of like clay build-up strokes that are very, very common. A little bit of noise is fine, but I want to get rid of some of that. There we go. So yeah, on the YouTube channel, we got all of the live streams as well. So if you're just joining and you want to see the beginning of this thing, which, by the way, let's save real quick. I can actually try to show you right here. Let me try this. So when you're working in ZBrush, ZBrush has history. So here I can't go all the way down to the beginning of just a single sphere, but this was the Dynamesh thing that we did. So for the past like 30 minutes we've been working on the details, and you can see here all of the different things that we've been doing to generate this mask right here. So what do you guys think? Is it looking like Kindred? Are we close to the, what's the word, to the style? I think so. I think we're really close. Again, we're gonna be 3D printing this. We're probably not gonna have a live stream of just you watching the 3D print machine doing the whole thing, right? But we're gonna have some YouTube videos later on the painting and polishing process for this asset as well. So if you want to stay tuned, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. Coming in official, that would be amazing. I actually have a friend that works on the League of Legends like collectibles side of things. I think he's still there. I might send him a picture. It's like, hey, I did this. Do you want it? we can do a collaboration or something. That would be cool. He worked a long time as a collectible designer for DC Comics. So he was doing a lot of like the statues for like Harley Quinn and Batman and things like that. Really talented, super talented guy. There we go. Yeah, that looks good. Cool. Okay, so now, as you can see, we're at 374,000 points. So now we can bring the resolution, let's say, to 600 resolution, and we should be jumping above 1 million. There we go, 1,345,000 polygons. And now we are gonna go into like the high frequency details. So now is where we can start adding the very thin lines. Again, I'm not sure how many of those we're gonna be able to capture on the 3D print, but we should be able to add some very interesting effects. No, I've always been like really bad at math, to be honest. Really bad. And if you want to get into games, especially like programming, you definitely need to have a good grasp of math. Harambe says, talking about 3D printing, I am this close to buying Elegor's Mars 3 Pro to print as a hobby, but in some places I see that printing whole characters, if something goes wrong, it's like wasted money. How probable is a print to fail? It depends on how you prepare it. So if you prepare your print properly, if you add all of the proper supports, I usually go like way heavier on supports just to be safer, or to be safe than sorry. It should be a low, like a fail rate, but it does fail. Like, unfortunately, it does. So, like, I remember I was printing a full, like, 30 centimeters figure, and I forgot to refill the tank, so it just ran out of resin, and, like, that's a failed print. Sorry. So, but you can try to optimize things so that you don't have that sort of things happening to you. It's a steep learning curve. I'm not gonna lie. Like, there are things that you definitely need to take into account, but it's not that difficult. So it's good. I have the Mars 3. It's not the Pro version. I have the base Mars 3, and I've had like I don't think I've had a failed print on that one. Very common things is when the print sticks to the plate. I used to have my little thing here to make the example. Give me 1 second. I'll show you. Okay. So let me switch real quick to full screen. So let's see if we can see this. There we go. So this print right here, for instance, this is like 30 centimeters. It's really big. I did not do this model. This is by a guy named Andrea Tarabella. He has a Patreon called Artisan Guild, and it's this like very cool like giant, right? So this one, it's usually divided into smaller pieces, and that way, if a piece fails, it's not that bad because you just reprint that specific part. It does take a little bit longer to print everything because it's a big figure, but it's a really good way to do it. This one's a smaller print by some Mexican guys named Artisan Guild. No, this one was from Archidalian Games. And this is the one that failed, so you can see the leg there, like completely cut off. Because this thing prints on a table, and if it doesn't find any more resin, it's just like, what do I print? So this one, I can't use it anymore. But in my case, since I use this for, what's the word? Dungeons and Dragons, I can just use that as like a broken statue or something, right? So you can find ways to recycle them, but yeah, unfortunately those are like failed prints. Okay, now I'm just checking proportions here because mine feels a little bit like stubby, so I'm gonna use just move brush here, just like change proportions a little bit. It's just like my OCD side coming out and just like being like, hey, we can definitely improve this a little bit more. It's just very, very small like changes and fixes, right? There we go. How are we doing on time? Oh, we're fine, we're fine. I'm gonna be doing a quick render on this thing inside of Blender in just a second. Because it's I think it's a good idea to always showcase your stuff in the best possible light. No pun intended. There we go. And he says, sorry if I have asked this before, but will there be student art support videos in the futures? I'm currently studying how to create one thing. Yeah, we can do that. I wasn't thinking about continuing that series because back in the day, in the older channel, it didn't have as much what's the word? As much like support, like people were not submitting as much. But we can do that. I'm gonna add a new channel on the. Actually, we do have a channel on the Discord, if I'm not mistaken. So here on the Discord, we got this one. Yeah, so we got this 3D workshop channel. Drop your stuff right there, my friend, in the 3D workshop channel. And if you need, or if I need you to send me the file, I'll send you a private message with a link so that you can submit it. And that way I can help you with your stuff. Okay. We can do a video on YouTube as well of me explaining how to do it, if necessary. There we go. Now I'm gonna show you a secret technique. It's one of my little, like nicely kept secrets for 3D. If I want to have a very nice texture, alphas are perfectly a good way to do that, right? But I don't want to have every single alpha that everyone else in the internet has. Therefore, I am gonna do my own alpha, and I want to do this sort of like gnarly wood alpha. Okay. So how do we do this? First, we need to look for an image. Let's look for gnarly wood texture, for instance. And we're gonna find this. Ooh, this is great. So look at this. We got this very like curvy, nice, like flowy looking wood textures, right? Like this one right here, I think is really, really good. I don't love the fact that we have a little bit of depth of field, but I really like this sort of like squiggly like lines that we have. Ideally, we would like to have a high density, but I'm not gonna pay $35 for this. That would be a little bit too much for just a quick thing that we're doing here. So another option here inside of Google is we can go for tools and say size large. That should give us a little bit of a better effect. And we just want to look at something interesting. Let's see if we can find something interesting. We don't want something that's very unique. So for instance, this one right here looks really cool, but unfortunately, if I extract an alpha from this, it's going to be very obvious that it's this part of the wood. So I want to have something a little bit more, again, more randomized. That's why that first texture was really good. Even this one's really good as well. Let's use this one. I know it has a watermark, so even with this, it doesn't really matter. So let's save this image on the desktop. Ugh, I hate WebP images. Why do people keep doing WebP images? It's so horrible. My God. Copy image. Let's go to Photoshop then. I hate WebP, man. Freaking hate it. Un prompt en Midjourney y un pasado por Bounding Box ya tenemos. Yeah. So I've talked about this before. Midjourney is a perfectly good way to generate textures as well. It's really, really nice. And yeah, so there we go. It has the watermark. It's not the end of the world. I mean, the alpha, you're not really gonna notice it, but if you want to like remove it, you can also remove it. Like, it should be fairly easy to remove this watermark right here. I'm sorry, I know. But this is just fan art, so we're not gonna be selling it or anything. There we go. So let's save this image as a JPEG. Please as a JPEG. Let's call this wood. And now there's a very cool software. If you have Substance Painter, you should have access to this one as well. It's called Substance Sampler, Substance 3D Sampler. I'm a monster. I'm sorry. It's just that those images are really expensive. I don't know why if they made them like $1 or something, I would buy them. But sometimes they're very expensive. Okay, so here inside of Substance Sampler, what we're gonna do is we're gonna create a new material out of that image. Ideally, you want like a tiled image or whatever, like a square image. But in this case, it's gonna be a even if it's a rectangular, it uses some AI stuff to generate a new material, which is really, really cool. And we get this. Look at this. This is our image. Right now, it's styling it. But the important thing is not the material itself, it's the height information. So if we go here to the height, this is the map that I want. So it generates a semi-tileable material. It's not perfectly tileable, but it generates a very like nice, interesting, random material. And we can export this. Let's export this to the desktop as well. And right now I just want to export the height information. And if I do that, you're going to see right here, we got this alpha. Really cool one. I'm going to share this one on the Discord as well. So if you want this at the end of the stream, I'll share this one with the custom UI on the Discord. So now if we go to ZBrush, I could just grab my standard brush, drag rect, and grab that alpha. So look at that. We get a very, very interesting texture on top of the whole thing. And it's just a texture that no one else has, right? That's one of the advantages of doing your own textures, is that no one else has this specific texture, and that's going to give you something that's a little bit better, right? Or a little bit more original. I'm definitely going to bring the intensity down because this is just, I just want this to be like high frequency detail. So as you can see, it's just like the texture on the wood. It's just like noise that we're adding on top of everything. That's why, again, we've mentioned this before. You need to have a really clean form, really clean shapes, because this thing is going to be on top of your shapes and your forms. So if you don't have a clean form or shape, then all of these things that you're doing won't look nice. Just like extra moves. I'm not going to do that to the horns, to be honest. I'm going to keep the horns really, really clean. And then another thing I can do is I can go back here with my trim dynamic, for instance, and clean some of the areas, right? Like, we do want noise, but we also want to have some clean areas every now and then. So being able to balance from a design point of view, being able to balance BC areas and non-BC areas, or like what we like to call them rest areas, is really, really important. For instance, this white part right here, I definitely want the white thing to be really, really, really clean, so that it pops a little bit more from the rest of the elements. So blending the alpha that we just created with all of the textures that we had and all of the modeling that we've done so far is going to give us this very, very cool effect. We're about to jump into the final section, the final stretch of this thing. We're going to go into the, into the rendering side of things. I'm going to show you a tip that I shared recently to make this pop even more and generate a very nice render. Now, question, should we add scratches, like big scratches here, like damaged scratches along the surface? What do you think? Is that something that might look good? Well, you guys let me know in the comments or in the, on the chat. I'm gonna add some like straight lines here on the horns, because these horns are supposed to be, or I'm thinking that they're made out of a different wood. Phantom says, yes, let's add some scratches. Sarn says, yes, sure. I think like battle damage is always like this very cool thing. Okay, so here we can use layers. So I'm gonna go geometry. I'm gonna go to, layers. Let's save real quick before we continue. So I'm going to go to layers, I'm going to add a new layer, and I'm going to go to lightbox. There's a secret brush that's called the slash brush. So if you go to the lightbox and you go to brush, you can go to the slash brush right here, and there's this /1. It's a very strong slash, as you can see right there. It's a lot stronger than the Damien standard. So what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna start adding like some of the scratches on several parts of the character. Or on several parts of the mask. And the cool thing is, after I'm done, if I'm like, yeah, that looks good, I can stop recording here in this layer, and I can use this layer to blend where I want them to be really intense or I want them to be very soft. So it's a great way to add a non-destructive sort of like detail on your elements. That way, again, if you're not completely sure of what you want, you gotta do this. And if we got a viewer that's not a follower, come on, this trick should be worth of a follow right here. So yeah, that's one way we can do it. We can also use morph target. I'm gonna keep them relatively soft. Again, I'm not sure how much of that's gonna be like shown on the 3D print, to be honest, because that's a very, very like thin detail. But on the thumbnail that we're gonna be doing, I think it's gonna look really, really nice. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I think we're ready to jump onto Blender. So I'm just gonna use. Oh, we cannot use. I'm just gonna bake this. I'm just gonna use clay buildup to get a little bit more detail here on this cut. Maybe even a little bit of Damien standard to push some of the lines that we lost. And here's where you can spend so much time. So much time detailing and adding special effects and things like that. Sculpting is it's a really, really interesting part of the pipeline because there's not really a point where you're like, okay, yeah, that's it. I'm gonna stop. Like, you can keep going for so long. Sometimes, again, when working on production, the stopping point is gonna be the time, right? Like a time constraint is like, hey, we need to keep going because otherwise we're not gonna finish the project. So you don't finish a sculpt, you just abandon it. It's a very famous quote. I always forget who said that. It says that art is never finished, it's just abandoned, because you can continue to polish and polish and polish and polish. There we go. Okay, so here we're gonna do a process that's called a decimation master. So one of the things, or the cool things about ZBrush, is that ZBrush can handle a large amount of polygons without having any issue. Unfortunately, Maya and Blender cannot do that, so you need to like bring the amount of polygons down, and one way to do that is to decimate this. So we process the whole thing so that we can simplify it, and we add more triangles where we need them and less triangles where we don't need them. Harambe is asking, how's Hyperlab doing? Is there possible for the legendary Critical Hit Studio and Academy to be reborn? So Hyperlab is doing well. We have a small team of artists. We're 4 artists right now. And well, it's 4 artists and then me and then Ulises. So it's 6 people total. And I think the size of the production is good enough for all of the products that we're doing. However, as for Critical Hit, I don't think the studio is coming back, but the Academy, we got plans. We got plans there. So we might be bringing the Academy back somehow relatively soon. So I'm going to go to C plugin, Decimation Master, and we're going to pre-process current so that we can analyze the surface and get it ready for our render. My God, talking for 2 hours can get a little bit complicated. Okay, so the decimation is done. Now we just need to do C plugin, and I'm going to do 20% so that we don't lose as much detail. So as you can see, we have 269,000 polygons, or points, which is like 500,000 polygons. This is fair enough. Like this right here could be perfectly fine for 3D print. Do you guys want me to show you how I would prepare this to print it like a miniature? Should I do that? Should I show you how to do that? Meanwhile, I'm gonna export as an FBX to the desktop. Let me know if you want. I can show you. I can show you. I cannot print it like super fast, but maybe I can show you on Discord like the result of a small print before we do the big print. I think we got time. Yeah, I think we got time. Let's do it. Let's do it real quick. So first, let me open Blender. It's very funny. I'm gonna tell you guys a small story about Blender. So I've been a Maya user for more than 12 years. Like literally the first software that I learned like properly was Maya, and I've been using it ever since. At the first, I was showing, I think I was showing some of my friends one of the first sculpts that I did, and it was in Maya 2009, so super old school Maya. And a couple of years ago, someone told me, it's like, hey, Blender 2.8 is coming out. The interface is a little bit similar to Maya, so it might be a little bit easier to use. And I was like, I don't know. And then for whatever reason, work required me to start learning Blender, and now I really like Blender. I was like, I was never an anti-Blender user, but I was always like, nah, Maya is just like better and superior. And now that I've used it for several years, it's like, no, you know what? Like Blender is really powerful as well. So it's a perfectly valid option, to be honest. So yeah. Wait, did it export it already? Yeah, it's right here. So why is it not showing? Did I export this OBJ? Import OBJ desktop. There we go. It's OBJ. Okay, so we got the mask here inside of Blender. Ooh, that's looking great. Like, I already know, because there's this thing that happens with ZBrush. ZBrush has this sort of displaying, or the way of displaying things, and it looks a little bit weird sometimes, but now that I see it here inside of Blender, I know that this thing is going to 3D print, like, really, really nicely. So the first thing I need to do is set up the size, because right now this size is really, really big. So let's say we want to print it 10 centimeters. I think 10 centimeters is a good size. So I'm going to create a new cube, and on the options of the cube, I'm going to set this to 10 centimeters, and Blender is smart enough to know that that's the size that I want. There we go. So I'm gonna scale this all the way down, so it's like 10 centimeters around there. Doesn't have to be perfectly 10 centimeters, but like a little bit bigger. Let's do like 12 centimeters, something like that. And then I'm gonna press Control A, and I'm gonna apply all transforms. I'm gonna select this file, and we're gonna export this as an STL. Let's export this on the desktop. Let's call this Kindred 10 centimeters. There we go. We just wait for this to finish the export. And if you have an Elegoo Mars, we're gonna be using this one right here. Oh, you were M2. You remember the ADEX one? I still got the image over there. It's on my what's the word? It's on my art station as well. That's one of my favorite projects, to be honest, from the last from my last professional chapter. So let's go over here and let's import it. The scale, there we go. So that's still a little bit too big. Like as you can see, it can print. Like it can definitely print, but it's gonna be like a huge mask. That's way too big. So on the scale, let's remove some zeros. Let's do 4. Oh, scale. Oh, there we go. Okay, so I'm gonna say that's 14 millimeters. Let's do 140. That's a little bit too big. Let's do 80. There we go. That's a smaller, more manageable size, so that we don't waste a lot of resin and stuff. So yeah, as you can see, all of that detail that you see right there, that's gonna be printed. So this right here could be like a really cool keychain or something. What I'm gonna do here, just to make this a little bit better, is I'm gonna rotate it back a little bit, so that most of the supports are on the border of the on the border of the mask. And now we need to add the supports. So the support process, again, once you do it a couple of times, it becomes a little bit easier, but it's rather simple. Like the way this works is you have this little thing, this little like base that's going down, and it's picking up your your element. So every single thing that's like positioned right here needs to be supported towards that base. So the way you do this is you literally go and start scanning your element, and once you see that certain islands are being born, you just add a support right there. So you just add supports on all of these islands. So all of those points. And as you can see now, when this thing prints, it's gonna print like this. Ba, ba, ba. Actually, I usually don't use raft. Why do I have a raft? Or do I use rafts? I don't remember if I used raft or not before. I don't think so. Raft. I don't remember using a raft, to be honest. That's fine. So let's add some heavy supports. And anytime I see a new island like that one right there that's floating, we add a new support. So new island right there. Like as soon as I see that something just pops into existence, like that one right there, that's a support that we need to add. And everything else is just building on top of each other, right? So for instance, right there, you see that? That guy right there, that's a new island being born. So we add support. Now this is a slightly big element, right? So we might need to add extra supports in just a second, but I don't want to add heavy supports. For instance, right there on the eye, I don't want to add heavy supports because it can break the, or leave some like ugly marks. So I'm just going to add some medium supports. Like all of that area right there. Definitely add a lot of supports to that area. And then we got that circle right there. That definitely requires maybe one heavy support right there. And again, just to, this is what I was telling you, Harambe, just to be safe. I'd rather be safe than sorry. So I'm just going to start like going crazy and adding a lot of supports on all of the areas that from experience I know can be or can benefit from them. So especially like on all of this border right there. Like those inner sections right there, let's add some medium supports. Because all of those medium supports can later on be like removed very easily. And medium supports are not as aggressive on the model. So again, from experience, I know that this amount of supports that I'm adding should be more than enough. Yes, I'm wasting a little bit more resin. Some people like be like, oh, that's a lot of wasted resin. Yes, but again, I'd rather waste some resin on some like heavy supports than have a failed print and waste all of the other resin, right? So yeah, that's pretty much it. And again, to just give a little bit of extra support, just a lot of extra ones right there on the center. That's going to stabilize the whole thing. And that's pretty much it. Everything else should print fairly nicely. Again, we can add like just a couple of supports to the horns to make sure that they work nicely. And then we slice. We just slice this thing. And by slicing, we get a result. So this thing is going to take about 3 hours. I usually like to change my leaf speed to 60 so that it's not as fast, but it's a little bit more, again, more precise. And we just save this on the desktop. And this file, I need to load it onto a USB and, what's the word? And just print it. As you can see, this is going to waste or is going to use 34, 35 grams of resin. So there's a way to get like the proper calculation of how much that costs, but I think we can use a simple like calculation here. So if a bottle of resin says, let's say, is worth 1,000 pesos, and it's 1,000 grams, right? It's a kilo. So in this case, it's 34.9 times 1,000, or it's just the same number, right? So it's times 1,000 divided by 1,000, so it's the same. So yeah, so this is 34 pesos, right? So $2. This thing is going to be worth $2. And that's it. So I'm going to print this guy as soon as the stream finishes, and we're going to be, I'm going to be showing it on Discord. So if you guys want to see the final result, make sure to join the Discord. So over here on the Blender, we definitely need to prepare this for render. So I'm going to scale this a little bit more, so it's a little bit more like a real size. Let's jump into the camera and let's look for a nice like I think a nice like symmetrical render is going to be the best. So I'm gonna set the view to camera to view, and let's go for a very nice composition right here, something like this. I'm thinking whether we want a background or not. I'm not sure. Let's not use a background right now. So let's first set up our lights, and then we're gonna set up the material that I told you I was gonna show, which is a very, very cool material to get more resolution from all of the very nice details that we have right here. So I'm gonna right click here, I'm gonna vertical split, And on this one, I'm going to be working on the lights, and this one's going to be the render. On my render, I'm going to be using cycles, and I'm going to be using GPU so that we can get some very fast renders. And let's save this real quick before anything bad happens. So there we go. So this is Kindred. So for the lights, I always like to start with a very basic like global light. So I'm going to go here to my world, and on the color, I'm going to add an environment texture. And this is just going to be a very basic HDRI that I have, this one right here, which is a very like soft sky. And then on the strength of this one, I'm going to bring it down to like a 0.1. So it's very dark. So it's only like bringing light into the scene, but it's not really like it's not really lighting our character. It's just giving us a very basic light effect. And then on ray visibility, I'm going to turn this camera off so that we don't see it. If you don't want to see the floor, you can also go here to the statistics and just turn off floor and the grid lines. So now this is a lot closer to what we would expect to see on our final render. So yeah, I think I'm going to bring the light even lower. So 0.05. There we go. And we're going to add our first light. Whenever I light this sort of things, I always tell you guys, keep it simple. Do not try doing like weird stuff. Just keep it simple. So I'm going to do a very basic like 3-point light setup. So just a light. Let's do an area light. We're going to bring the area light, I think from the top, like make it mysterious. Should be a good idea. Quick tip here inside the Blender. If you press right click, you can adjust the light power and then you just like scroll. And look at that. So we don't want to burn the color. So something like that looks good. Let's go to a side view. And we're going to bring this here. Just point it towards the character. Because I want to have that very nice like shadow coming from the like corner of the, or the border of the element. I think that looks really nice. I'm considering like moving this to the side a little bit. But I kind of like the symmetry of this thing right here. That looks very nice. And then we can do a couple of rim lights, especially on the back part or the bottom part. So I'm going to press Shift A again to add another light. And this is going to be another like area light. In this case, pointing up. Like this. Right click, adjust light power. It's going to be really bright, but we need to move it so it's only hitting like the borders of the mask. And I'm going to change the color to like a blue color. There we go. Maybe a little bit less saturated. That's good. Now I think that it might be better to have like a side rim light. So something like this. I'm trying to find what the best position is, but that one looks really cool. And we can duplicate this, bring it to the other side, and do something similar. Although, as you can see, one of the disadvantages of doing that is it flattens the image a little bit, so that's not something that we might want to do. We got a question from Andy. Says, how often this game uses sheen maps? Is it even worth it for portfolio renders? Depending on how advanced you want to go. So if you take a look at, for instance, Last of Us and this very like story narrative focused games, they are gonna do some really crazy stuff with maps from the characters so that the skin and everything looks freaking amazing. If you're doing like League of Legends and things like that, then no, you don't need a sheen map. So it depends quite a bit on the context of the game. So for very photorealistic games, then yes, you might use them. For other ones, you might not. I'm gonna go for this sort of like violet color. I think this purple color might look interesting. Maybe even in both lights, to be honest. Yeah, that looks interesting. I'm also gonna lower the saturation. There we go. So that gives us an interesting color. Now let's go for the material. On the material side of things, I'm gonna add a new material here. The material color, I think I wanna go for the sort of like purple that we have. Let me see if I can sample it from here. Oh no, it doesn't. Oh, it would be really cool if we could. That's fine. Let's just go for like this. It's like a dark purple. A lot less desaturated. The value's a little bit lower. And the shine or the roughness is a little bit higher because it's like wood. But as you can see, the problem with this is we lose a lot of the detail, right? So I want to bring the detail back into the character, and this is where the shading comes into place. So right now, I need to go into render mode here, because the node that we're going to be using is rendered. So right now, the problem is everything is this uniform purple color, right? So what we want to do is we want to use an ambient occlusion node to get things to look a little bit better. So if I were to, let's say, just bring in an ambient occlusion node, we could technically just connect this ambient occlusion into the surface of the object, and we're going to get the effect of the color node, but that's not what we want. We're going to use this one to generate a very cool mask to control a better effect. So I'm going to press Shift A, and we're going to add a ramp color ramp, and the ambient occlusion is going to be connected to the factor. So the ambient occlusion is going to connect or control this color ramp. And then we're going to use a mix RGB to mix two colors together, or mix color. There we go. And we're going to use the result of this color ramp as a factor. Color 1 is going to be the same color that we have right now. And then color 2 is going to be a lighter color. Actually, the other way around. This color B is going to be the basic color, and color A is going to be like a really dark color. And the result, as you're about to see, is going to give us that effect. So if we go here and we push this, you're going to see that we can push the crevices of the object. So we're using the ambient occlusion map to really bring that dark color from our element right there. And the cool thing is we can like modify this as much as we want to generate more or less of this effect. So as you can see, we're kind of like using this to paint the crevices of our object with this dark color. If we don't want this dark color to be as dark, we can of course like bring this, we can make it white. I mean, that's an option. We can make it just like a blue, like a dark blue. We can change, instead of mix, we can do like an overlay, for instance. So if we go over here, we can say overlay. In this case, I think we need to flip the colors to get a nicer effect. But yeah, that's a very cool trick here. Actually, let's try and multiply. No, multiply is too much. Let's do just mix, is fine. So this, again, what it's going to do is instead of having this very basic, just like purple color, it will make the whole like the crevices a lot darker. And again, we can push this quite a bit, and we're going to get a lot more of an effect. So let's go back to layout. And we got our color right there, looking quite nice. I do think now we need a little bit more light because everything is becoming way too dark. So I'm going to go to the environment. And on the environment, we're going to set this to like let's try 0.5. That's a little bit better. And we can also go to our lights and adjust the light colors. Because since the color is now lighter, we can push these colors a little bit more intense as well. There we go. We get this very cool effect. And that's pretty much it. I mean, I'm not sure what else should we add. We got a question here. Justin says, looks awesome. Do you think it would have taken quite a bit longer to sculpt a similar result in Blender? Just a tad bit, because this is not a super complicated model, I would say. Like on a scale of 1 to 10, I would say that this is like a 6, maybe a 7 level of model. So you can definitely sculpt it. I've been using ZBrush far longer than Blender in regards to sculpting. That's why I decided to go with it to to do the effect, or to do this the sculpt. However, you could definitely do this inside of Blender. Like it should be fairly not simple, but it should yield you a very similar result as well. So I'm gonna show you one last thing, guys, because I really like the white color of the skin, of course, like of the mask. So I think it should be something that we capture, and that's gonna be the last thing, but that's gonna be inside of Photoshop. So let's do a quick render here. I'm just gonna give this like 30 seconds. Say render. Look at that. Beautiful. Looks really good, and I can't wait to see how this looks 3D printed in real world scale. So again, if you want to follow, make sure to join either the Discord or the YouTube channel, because we're going to be updating things right there. Yeah, that looks really good. I mean, this is I'm not sure if it's a masterpiece, but it's not bad. I mean, for 2 hours of sculpt, I think this is a really nice result. And I like this. Again, I did do a little bit of my style where I make things a little bit more grungy, more realistic, but I do like how this looks. So let's copy this image, and let's go to Photoshop. And instead of Photoshop, it's very easy to just duplicate this guy. I'm gonna Control-Shift-U to, what's the word, to desaturate this. And I'm gonna change the values, or the levels. There we go. And then we're gonna do a mask. There we go. And then with a brush and this mask, let's do, say, this one right here. We can just paint because the mask is hiding this sort of like white effect. So we can just paint, and at any point we can unpaint as well. And this is going to give us this very artistic sort of like painted effect, right? Ideally, we would do this with textures, right? Create a UV map, do retopology, do textures, like blah, 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 blah. It's the whole process, the whole production pipeline, which, by the way, you can check in our premium course because we go over that in the premium course as well. There we go. And then this layer, I'm going to set to lighten or to linear dodge and just like bring the opacity down a little bit. And that's it. We got our Kindred mask ready. So yeah, that's pretty much it, my friends. Yeah, we're almost done with our 2-hour stream. We've been doing streams for the past couple of weeks. So if you want to check our previous streams, we did a Final Fantasy sword, we did Medusa, and then we did a whole Blender scene for our for the release of our new course, which is just linked right here. So yeah, if you want to check any of the things that we've done so far, make sure to join our Discord channel, make sure to join our YouTube channel, and make sure to follow us here. We're very, very close to our to our goal today. We wanted to get to 230, almost there, but hey, 224 is perfectly good. We even got a lot of subs right now from Harambe. So thank you very much for everyone for your support. We're gonna be again sharing more and more stuff about the 3D world, about the different processes that you can use to create your own stuff. I can't wait to see all of your creations, my friends. So yeah, that's pretty much it. And I'll be seeing you back on the next one. Okay, guys? Thanks, everyone, for coming. Thank you for being here on the stream. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll see you back on the next stream. Bye-bye. There we go. And for those of you watching in YouTube, thank you very much for being part of the channel as well. If you want to join us on the live streams, make sure to join our Twitch channel and make sure to check our full course. That's going to be down here in the comments as well. If you want to learn the whole process, sculpting, modeling, retopology, it's available for you right now in Udemy. Thank you very much, my friends. Don't forget to follow, like, subscribe, and I'll see you back on the next one. Bye-bye.